Hallelujah! Hallelujah! The Buffalo Bills perform the miracle! They are in the playoffs! Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
The Buffalo Bills have made the playoffs. Thank you, Street Preacher, for that kind introduction. He is exactly right. The Buffalo Bills are partying like it's 1999. They've made the playoffs, and they're not the only team that's made the playoffs. They're not the only team. Some shocking endings to Week 17. We'll discuss them all. The Ravens choke. They don't make it. The Chargers, they win, but they don't make it. The Titans beat the Jaguars to get in the playoffs. We'll talk the Seattle Seahawks. We'll talk about the Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers game and much more. We got a lot to talk about here. Let's talk playoffs. That's the title, and that's what we're going to do.
Hallelujah.
Is that the priest?
Oh, hallelujah.
It's the priest, everybody.
Let us all bow in prayer and reflect on the teams that will not be part of the NFL playoffs. The Cleveland Browns, who could not win a single football game. The first time in 8 years. They are terrible at all things of football. We think of the teams like the 49ers, although they have a Garappa goat. It is not enough to make the playoffs. We think of Bungles not making playoffs. Chargers not making playoffs. Giants not making playoffs. Redskins not making playoffs. Dylan's Cowboys not in playoffs. Sports Fury's Bears not in playoffs. The Buccaneers not in playoffs. The Cardinals and Bruce Arians, 962-year-old Bruce Arians, but with GOAT Larry Fitzgerald, not in playoffs. The Denver Broncos with the great John Elway, not in play, and Brock Osweiler, not in playoffs. The Indianapolis Colts, not in playoffs. The New York Jets, not in playoffs. Miami Dolphins, not in playoffs.
Ha!
Detroit Lions, not in playoffs. And last but not least, we think of the Seattle Seahawks, a team that could not move forward in any way, shape, or form, could not do the simple thing like running, passing, blocking, who had Charlie Brown kick field goals for them. We think of the Seahawks today as they miss the playoffs and look like complete shit. Pardon me, Lord. Sorry. Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. We think of all of them today. Amen.
Wow, that was the best one yet from the priest. I really appreciate him coming in at a time of need. Oh, Kevil, this is a time. You need a hug, Kevil?
No, I don't need a hug.
What do you got to say, Kevil? It's time. It's time. It's Vader time. Let's hear what you have to say about the Seattle Seahawks and the crappy outing they have. They have to win this game, even though they wouldn't have got in regardless. They have to win this game, and they lose to a running back named Penny.
Yes, and the Penny has not been in existence here in Canada for how long? Well, first of all, I think I'm going to kind of do a countdown. I've already tweeted who to blame here, but I'm going to start on the bottom here and work your way up. As far as the game, to come out defensively this bad, and a game that you know that you have to win, there's a problem. Offensively, and it's not all on the defense, but you kind of look at this in this game. Bobby Wagner took an unnecessary roughing the passer penalty. Frank Clark took an unnecessary roughing the passer penalty. Twice in this game, Michael Bennett could not tackle Drew Stanton, who there's a guy down the street that I'm actually convinced is walking faster than Drew Stanton can run. Couldn't sack him. They couldn't really cover Larry Fitzgerald, even though Drew Stanton was only throwing to Larry Fitzgerald. They didn't really cover him all that well. So in terms of defense, it's up there as part of the problem. This offense is completely inept from top to bottom. We'll get into this more, but there's no offensive line. There was a resemblance of an offense. There were times that there was a couple of times that Chandler Jones was at the running back before Russell Wilson was able to hand off the ball. Like, it was that bad. Pochik, although he got hurt, was terrible. Jermaine Ifedi was terrible. I did not see Paul Richardson did pretty much nothing. So the offense goes number 4 or number 3. And then I guess number 2 is Blair Walsh. But actually, the biggest problem here is John Schneider. And let me explain this. You put this team in such a terrible salary cap situation that you could not put Cam Chancellor on the injured reserve to get the salary cap move to replace Blair Walsh. You drafted a guy named Malik McDowell, who I don't think is going to play here, who got into an ATV accident. He got arrested. You traded down to get this guy when you could have had the depth at linebacker to replace a guy like Bobby Wagner, who still should not have played that Rams game. And yes, I know Reuben Foster got hurt earlier in the season, but it was a depth position that he probably would have came in and you could have developed a guy. You chose Malik McDowell over Reuben Foster. For some god-awful unknown reason, Eddie Lacy was on this team, even though he was the 4th best running back on a team that had CJ Prosise, who was consistently hurt. I mean, he walked across the street and was getting hurt. And you never cut this guy. You let this guy sit and rot on your team. What else? You haven't addressed this running back situation in 2 years. Yeah, there's some nice pieces here that you've drafted. Shaq Griffin was fine. But the skilled positions haven't been completely addressed. And this to me goes on John Schneider. This is complete. And sorry, when you miss the playoffs, it's a complete failure. I'm not going to buy into, well, we've got some pieces, and if Richard Sherman was healthy, everything would have been okay. If Cam Chancellor was healthy, we would have been okay. That was defense. There were so many problems with this team offensively. I mean, you could actually make the argument, Mitch, that this offense might have been worse at the end of the season than the Cleveland Browns. You might make that argument. See, you're kind of thinking about it, at least.
I'll say this. If they had the Browns offensive line, they would have made the playoffs.
Quite possibly. This is just, it's a mess. On so many situations.
Kevin, I'll stop you there. Passionate rant. What? I respect it. Okay.
I'm not finished.
Who's the first to go? Who's the first? That's what people want to know. Who's leaving? Who's getting the boot?
If it's me, it's Bevel and Cable as a combination. I think this is a stat I want to blow your mind out with. And I feel like I have to give some credit to AC because this is going to validate a point that he's made. The Seattle Seahawks.
I'll put myself on camera so I can react to it live. I've never heard this stat before. So
the Seattle Seahawks at home going into halftime, they have the lead once at home heading into the second half, including the game when they won 46-18 over the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that game.
They did not. There was a couple of times that they were tied, but they never had the lead going into the second half.
That's awful. Okay, I'm going to bring up a comment that the coach said. He said, and this is right along the lines, Hawks lost another home game. Really? Where is the 12th man? And the offense is gone. Bodo backs that up. He says the 12th man and I said this after the Seattle loss to the Patriots. With your coach and your quarterback, you will never win a Super Bowl. How do you feel about those two comments?
Well, I think that there's still possibilities of that. But, I mean, I think that this – Russell –
You think Pete's going to retire?
Not this year. I think he's going to come back for a couple more years. I think that probably the guy that they're going to want to replace him with is Chris Richard. And I don't think he's quite ready yet. I think he needs a couple more years. But it was pretty clear that Pete Carroll was getting completely frustrated with how this running game was going. And you go look back last year at that Rams game where Sherman was yelling at Bevel and everyone was upset at Sherman. Doesn't he look a little bit right here at the end of the day? Because really, it's the offense that cost them. I mean, the defense, there was a couple of – the defense wasn't great.
Defense is it wasn't the defense as the fundamental flaw of the team. It was the fact that the defense was hurt. And you can't really say that you can blame – what I'm trying to say here is you can't blame the defense for being injured.
No.
You know what I mean? I thought what impressed me about the Seahawks in the games that they did win, like the game against the Seahawks, they switched their defense up. We've seen the Seahawks play the same defense over and over and over and over again. They realized they couldn't do that at some point. They realized they didn't have Sherman. They didn't have, some players, and they didn't have Chancellor, and they couldn't do the same things because they couldn't run the same cover 3 every play because they don't have the players to run the cover 3. So they did different stuff, and it seemed to work in some games. Here, it didn't really work against the Cardinals, and you got to give credit to the Cardinals. They always play the Seahawks tough, but the offense has to step up when the defense is hurt. You know what I mean? Your offense with Russell Wilson, with the best player on your team is your quarterback, Russell Wilson. He needs to be able to step up and lead this team. And, he had good games, but for whatever reason, this offense, I agree with you. Bevel needs to be the first to go. His offense is way too simplistic. It relies way too much on Russell Wilson's arm and legs, and it relies way too much on the actual talent of his players. He doesn't give enough schematically to help a Richardson get open. He just says, okay, Richardson, run in a straight line, and Russell Wilson will chuck it to you after he's evaded 4 people. You know what I mean? And the run game is the same. It's never evolved. They've never taken what Lynch and that offense did well with the inside zone and the read option, and they've never evolved it to something better or greater. It's been the same, and it's just been with worse players and a worse offensive line. And when you guys were at your best on offense, you had one of the better offensive lines, and you had a very good running back. And I just don't understand where fundamentally this team has shifted from we're defense and we're run game to we're Russell Wilson and we're going to rely on these other players on defense that we've had. But it's not the same identity of the core of your team that when you guys were going to those Super Bowls. So you've shifted too far away from what made this team successful.
And I don't think that that's ever been Pete's intention. Pete's intention was still to run the ball, play good defense, do the complementary football thing. For some unknown reason, Darrell Bevell and Tom Cable were not. It was clear to me that Bevell, Cable, and Wilson were not on the same page this year. I'm not in the locker room, but you could see it. You could see it throughout the year. I mean, there was the same consistent problems. I mean, 2 points. They got 2 points against the Washington Redskins at home. The only reason they were in the Jacksonville game is because of 2 big plays. That's the only reason. Russell was running for his life. I mean, even against the Dallas Cowboys, there was a 3-man rush that DeMarcus Lawrence sacked him for a loss of 15 yards. And penalty after penalty. I mean, love of God, what was Thomas Rawls thinking? What was he thinking? And really, even the Michael Bennett, Quinton Jefferson mess that happened at the end of that Jacksonville game, and the fact that wasn't dealt with, not really. I think Bennett should have been benched. And I don't think Bennett should be back, actually. If there's one guy on the defense that I do not want
If there's
back,
one guy, Kev, that is you can point to is a disturbance in terms of locker room and attitude, it's definitely Bennett.
Bennett, yeah.
It's not that his play might have diminished a little bit, but it's not like he wouldn't be useful on your defense as a player. It's just from the attitude perspective, he's not useful anymore. You need to get rid of that guy because he's starting to become a cancer.
Yeah. I agree. And I don't even think they had him at the kneel down at the end of the game, by the way. I think he left the game or something.
I also want to just say, until we, switch to a different team, a different topic, the last thing I want to say about the Seahawks is Mr. Mike said this, actually, Seahawks fan himself. He said that Russell Wilson holds the ball too long. I'm not going to critique Russell Wilson for holding the ball too long because that's the way he plays. I'm going to critique the offense for not allowing Russell Wilson to throw the ball earlier because as an arrogant Patriots fan that I am, I can sit here and I can say when the Patriots have a shitty offensive line and then when they have a bad tackles and they're hurt and this and that and they can't run the ball, what's the first thing they do? They throw 2-yard pass to the flat. They throw running back a screen. They throw a receiver screen. They throw slant over the middle. They don't sit in the shotgun, 5 receivers with no extra blockers, and ask Tom Brady to just throw the ball up to Gronk. You know what I mean? They schematically try and get themselves out of the situation. They put 2 backs in the backfield. They, put a tight end in to chip the guy. They do different things. Like, this is what good coaches do offensively. Like, Josh McDaniels isn't going to sit there and run the same plays with a great offensive line as he is with a bad offensive line. It's not going to happen. So I just think, like, the Seahawks, I think the biggest thing that they need is they need to get away from what their offense has been, and they need to go into a different direction with their offense. If they're not going to be this run-heavy team, they need to figure out a different way to more effectively pass the ball. Because when you can run the ball, this type of passing game works.
Yeah.
The deep plays, the crazy whatever Russell Wilson, that works to a certain degree. And it's complementary, but it's not good as a primary option. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess the question that I think the big question, one of the big questions in the offseason is what you do with Jimmy Graham. For me, I actually would make an argument of keeping him, but I actually would move him completely to wide receiver and not put him as a tight end. I just don't think he is a tight end. I don't think he's a guy that can block, not really well. I think if we put him in a wide receiver position, I think he can be very effective, but in terms of the actual tight end position, what people expect out of it, he's not a tight end.
No.
Yeah,
he's never been a tight end, though.
He's never really, yeah. But I would keep him, but put him as a wide receiver. In terms of
it's not putting him as a wide receiver, but it's like using him in different ways.
Yeah. He had some drops, though, this year. Like, he wasn't – I mean, we can argue how effective they used him last season and the season before, but this season there were some drops at key times though too. But some of this is on Graham too.
I agree. Okay, let's move on. Where do you want to head to next, Kevil?
I think the big story is the 1999 Buffalo Bills. I think
okay, so the 1999 Buffalo Bills have gotten into a time machine. They have come to what is going to be 2018, and they are going to be playing in the playoffs. If somebody would have told me that the Buffalo Bills, the LA Rams, the Jacksonville Jaguars, in the same playoffs, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah.
I don't think anyone on planet Earth projected those teams to be in the playoffs at the same time. The Buffalo Bills have not made the playoffs since I've been an NFL fan. I was born, I was alive. I was a mere 3 years old, but I was not watching the NFL at 3 years old, on the contrary to what AC believes and makes fun of me for. The Buffalo Bills. I watched a team last week with a quarterback in Tyrod Taylor that was absolutely inept to throw to a wide open receiver. I watched the Buffalo Bills this is how bad the AFC is, Kev.
Yep.
The Patriots, who are the #1 seed in the AFC, beat the Bills by 20 points both times, basically.
Yeah.
That's not a playoff team. I mean, it's great for the Bills. It's awesome. I've actually rooted for the Bills because I don't really have anything against them. I did personally want to see the Chargers in the playoffs, but the Titans screwed them up for that. The Bills, they're just like, if you're a Bills fan out there, do I think you have a chance against the Jaguars this week? I do, but not because of you guys. That makes any sense. Like, I think if the Jaguars, the way that they're playing and the way that their offense especially is playing is just atrocious. I mean, their only touchdown came in this game from a fumble return. So if you're going to win this game, and I think you could, I think, McDermott has proven that at times he can have a really good defensive game plan, that maybe you get a couple turnovers from Blake Bortles and your offense gets set up in good field position and you guys can run the football well. All determines how LaShawn McCoy is and how healthy he is. But if you're a Bills fan, I mean, I think you should go in with some hope. I wouldn't be expecting to win the game because I think your offense is going to have a hard time, especially in the passing game, of moving the ball. But I think against a Jaguars team that is wavering and has lost to the Titans twice this year and lost to Jimmy G's 49ers and has lost 2 straight going into the playoffs, I think you're looking at the Jaguars as a team that you could potentially beat.
I agree. I actually think that there's a lot of pick'em in this, and it's really going to depend on which offense can make a play. This is going to be like, in my mind, this is going to be a very low-scoring game, and it's just going to really depend on LaShawn McCoy's health. And really, how the hell did the Bills do this? Like, they traded away Watkins, Robert Woods. Who else did they trade away? Marcel Darius. They actually traded Marcel Darius to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were getting their crap kicked out of them mid-season, and somehow they got into they were trying not to make the playoffs, and they made the playoffs.
That is just a great story right there.
Yeah. And quite frankly, the Baltimore, I guess we'll talk about the Ravens in a minute, but this is the Ravens.
It's disgusting, to be honest.
Yeah. This might be one of the worst fields of playoff teams in the AFC in history.
I wouldn't doubt it. And considering that the AFC has been the superior conference by a large margin for the past 20 years, this is definitely the worst conference that the AFC has had in at least 20 years. Like, if you look at Super Bowl tallies on both sides, the AFC takes it by a pretty good margin. If you look at the superior strength of teams, the Patriots, the Steelers, the Colts, the Manning Broncos, the Chargers, you look at these teams that have dominated for years, like, were really good. And the NFC only really had teams that were every couple years. There'd be, a Seahawks, and probably the Seahawks of anybody in the whole NFC in the last 20 years. And they've only been successful for like 5 years. So
no, longer than that. They've only actually missed the playoffs 3 times in 13 seasons.
Yeah, but top seed, one of the best teams. You know what I mean? Like, not just like making the playoffs, but like being good, being legitimately good, like a contender. They probably, I think the facts would show that they're the most consistent team in the NFC. Of that, would that make them the best? That's my point. Like, who else can you really look at in the NFC? There's been Saints,
Packers, maybe, but they've had
Packers
some
with Rodgers, but that's the only reason. Falcons, Giants.
Yeah, up and down.
I don't know. So, yeah, the AFC has been the superior conference, but for whatever reason, and again, it speaks to the greatness of the Patriots and the Steelers. They're, again, the top 2 teams, arguably in the league. So, and I just got a text from my dad, and it says, "Are you kidding? You watched football at 3? You were in the room when I was watching." So there you go. I did watch football.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. I did watch.
That is fact-checking you.
Yes. I didn't know. I don't remember that. But anyways. Okay, so the Buffalo Bills, we talked about them. Next team down the line, I guess we'll go the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. Well, wow. I did. Okay, and I will grant you, I had them at 3 wins this season. So,
Yeah, they successfully, I will say it again, they successfully did that in 3 weeks.
Yes. But also, I will say that a lot of the issues that I saw with the Baltimore Ravens came to fruition, even though they won 9 games. 3 times as many games as I predicted that they would win. That loss to Pittsburgh was big, turned out. That blowing that 10-point lead, and they were not running the ball. It's how you lose to Cincinnati at home. It's beyond me. You lost to Jacksonville in a pretty big blowout. I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do at quarterback going forward.
Oh, for sure. Their weakness all year has been their offense, specifically their quarterback, and more specifically their passing game.
Yep.
They don't have the receivers. They don't have the tight end. They don't have the quarterback. They don't have the offensive line.
No.
They can run the ball, And it's been and then that's another thing with the Ravens. Even though they've switched offensive coordinators and they've switched teams and players, their offense is the same. It's run, pass. It's if you're gonna pass on first down, it's a play action boot to the fullback. Like it's the same thing over and over that we've seen. The most boring offense that I've seen in this decade. Like this offense is putrid to watch. Like they'll score points because Alex Collins will run to the left and then run to the right and then hurdle 3 people and then jump in the end zone and then do his dance. But like, man, it's disgusting. But like, look at the Ravens injury report. I have to give, and I know that you've been a hater of John Harbaugh, but John Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in football, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying that because I'm wearing a Wolverines, Jim Harbaugh coached Wolverines jersey. But I'm saying that because I've always been a fan of John Harbaugh, even though I hate the Ravens as a Patriots fan. Look at this IR. Brent Urban, Marshall Yonda, Brandon Boykin, Tavon Young, who's one of their best corners, Kenneth Dixon, Jimmy Smith, Crockett Gilmore, Jeremy Maclin. All these players are good. And that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 players were on IR.
Okay. Yet they allowed an inexplicable 49-yard TD to lose the game to a team you should be beating.
I understand that.
And they did lose a lot of games.
I'm not making excuses for them. Because I thought this game would be close. And because I was doing my 10 picks, this was one of my picks for the Bengals to win, by the way. But like that didn't really work out as good as I wanted it to. But the Ravens, like, yeah, they should have won this game. But are you really surprised that they lost? You look at this team and this offense, we've been saying all year how bad this offense is. This defense, I felt, has been overrated all year long, especially without Jimmy Smith. I mean, they can cause a turnover, but you know what they remind me of? They remind me of the Chiefs' defenses a couple years ago where they would, like, cause a turnover, but they would let you get, like, 80 yards down the field, and then they would pick you off. You know what I mean? Like, this defense is good, but is it good enough to carry a team? No. And then you have Joe Flacco and these guys. Like, the Bengals on paper are not much different in terms of talent than Ravens.
No. And you have, I think the big problem in Baltimore is you've got this handcuff deal with Joe Flacco that I don't think a lot of teams are going to want to jump on because to pick him up, especially with the quarterback class out there of Cousins, Taylor, which is iffy, but Cousins for sure. A number of other quarterbacks out there. Why are you going to pay Joe Flacco the money that he's making?
I mean, unless you get Kirk Cousins, is there really an upgrade out there?
No, not really. But
unless you draft someone.
Yeah, I mean, do you make a run at Baker?
I think what the Ravens need to realize is, and I don't know if they have or not, I'm not sitting in their front office, but it feels like the Ravens still felt like their championship window is open.
Yeah.
I think they need to move on from that.
Yeah. And maybe you do move on. I mean, you're a bigger fan of Harbaugh than I am, but
I don't think the coach is the issue.
No, he's probably going to stay. But I've heard his name being bandied about a little, or no, I've heard more Jim than John. I have to correct myself. But maybe they bring Jim in with John.
Jim would not leave unless he got a huge contract and he was like afforded to run the whole team and was in like New York. And like, you know, he has to be in the big town. He has to have all the money at his disposal. He has to have all the control. That's the only way Jim, the college job right now is a better coaching job than the NFL.
Probably. In many ways. But I don't know, the idea, there would be something about the idea of the Harbaugh brothers together, maybe. I could see Jim maybe making...
If Jim gets fired,
yeah,
maybe. But we'll see.
boy, if I'm Detroit...
If I'm Detroit, I'm hiring one of these Patriot guys.
Well, I might take a run at Jim, though, too.
Detroit, I guess he's already in Detroit. So
he's already there.
I guess. He probably wouldn't get the same amount of money, though.
No.
All right. You want to talk about the Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers game?
Well, let's give credit to the Falcons defensively. They did their job.
Again, this team only shows up on one side of the ball every game. But
yeah, and their offense sputtered their way through. But they got
some good field position from Bad Cam.
Yeah, Bad Cam was available today.
Even though, again, I'm the only one defending him on all of the universe. But it is what it is.
It was a bad interception at the end, but I mean...
I'm not saying Cam played good in this game because he didn't. No. I need to clarify what I mean by defending Cam Newton, okay? Can we look at this team and honestly say, like, Cam Newton wins them 90% of the games?
Yeah, but he also... There's bad Cam, though.
There's bad Cam, but oftentimes it's because of bad offensive line or bad receiver or bad Jonathan Stewart.
He threw a pretty key interception.
Kevin, can you name, other than Devin Funchess, the receivers on the Carolina Panthers?
No, well, Greg Olsen.
He's
Jonathan. He's 902-year-old Jonathan Stewart.
He's a running back.
I know. McCaffrey is kind of the slot. They moved him more to receiver.
See, that's my point.
Yeah, but he was 14 for 34 today.
Okay, and I want to give credit to Atlanta for actually winning a game that they must win.
That's true. I guess we do give him credit for that.
And do you think Atlanta's a scary team?
I'm gonna use... I'll say this. I think the Rams are going to regret sitting everybody out.
Really?
Week. Yep. I think that this Falcons team is going to give the Rams a run for their money.
But that doesn't make sense because the Saints lost, so therefore the Rams still finished ahead of them, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true.
So it didn't really matter either way.
It mattered necessarily, but I don't think the Rams are going to run over the Falcons at all.
It's going to be an interesting game. Right now, I'm leaning towards the Rams, and I'll tell you why. I just look at and Atlanta's defense is obviously it's the same Seahawks system, and yeah, Atlanta's players. I've talked about them all year. Keanu Neal, Deion Jones. These guys, and they have good, talented players, Trufant. But I think Sean McVay in any game is going to be the key. If the Rams are going to win this game, it's going to be because of what Sean McVay does, coaching-wise, to get his team prepared to play Atlanta's defense. Because the biggest X factor in this game is how does Atlanta's defense play against the Rams' offense?
Well, yeah.
I think the Rams' defense and Atlanta's offense are fairly even.
Not in terms of coordinators. Wade Phillips is a far better.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing, too. And the thing about Steve Sarkisian is, and you'll see it in this game against the Panthers, he doesn't call – you know how great offensive coordinators, you'll watch them and you'll see, okay, they'll run the stretch run on second down. And then 3 plays later, they'll run the same stretch, but it's a play action. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they set you up for plays.
Yeah.
It seems like Steve Sarkisian just runs plays. Like he doesn't actually think about, okay, this play now, and then I'm going to set this up later so that we can hit this play.
Yeah. Yeah. Where Wade Phillips is thinking is dialing things up and thinking ahead. That's where the Rams have a huge advantage. I will grant you that. And the other thing is,
and they're at home. And the Falcons are a much better team at home. If the Falcons were at home, they would be dangerous to me. But because they're on the road, I question their ability to get it done.
And what's Julio's status?
Julio is hurt every game of his career. I've never seen him play a healthy game in my life.
Yep.
Seriously, I don't remember the last time Julio was actually not hurt.
The guy is super talented. I'm not going to dispute this talent.
He's actually the fastest receiver ever to get to 9,000 yards. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, I think this year is a bit of an aberration because I don't think Sarkisian used him well. I think he was mostly hurt.
And he still finished second in receiving yards, right?
Yeah. So, yeah.
It's just touchdown-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
a beast. Yeah. But, yeah, this game is going to be interesting. What do you take away from the Panthers in this game?
To me, I think we had this chat, and then I think this was a bigger game for the Carolina Panthers, and I think they would rather have played the Saints at home than on the road. I think their offensive skill positions aren't great. Their defense is going to let them hang in there a little bit. But I just think at the end of the day, like, if it's good cam, bad cam, the skill between the Panthers and the Saints, it seems to me that the Saints have all the edge in terms of skill and ability. And I don't know what Carolina can do to offset that. Because the Saints are going to have the ball.
Is it concerning at all that the Bucs beat the Saints this week?
Yeah, because I think it was a really good opportunity. And the Saints kind of stumbled along here at the end, didn't they? They did, didn't they?
Especially defensively.
Yeah, because they had the butt interception that
Well, they beat the Falcons last week in decent fashion. That was a good win.
Yeah, it was, but I'm just pulling up their.
To me, like, there is always the thing about playing a team 3 times and how that's difficult because this is going to be the 3rd time they play. And the Panthers, like, you never know because they can beat anyone at any given time, but they can also lose to anyone at any given time because of the way that they play and who their quarterback is and the way that their defense is. But at the same time, like, I just think the Saints are the worst matchup possible to the Panthers.
Yeah, I agree. Because of their running game, because of what Drew Brees can do, because of Michael Thomas.
Because of, like, I just think, like, every time I watch him, I'm just like, Sean Payton exactly knows what to, like, the combination of Sean Payton and Drew Brees against the Panthers is, like, against the Panthers defense specifically is not a good matchup.
No, I do agree with that. And at home, where the Saints at that field,
if the Panthers are going to win, they're going to have to win a shootout.
Yeah,
which could happen. Could happen.
Yeah, but I mean, depends on good cam, bad cam, and that defense has to hang in there. It's going to be interesting. It's probably the best matchup of the 4. I'll say that.
Is it?
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. I think Rams Atlanta will be fun, though.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game, too. First playoff game in LA in how many years?
Oh, geez, I don't know.
Do we want to talk about the Eagles while we're in the NFC?
Okay, talk about the Eagles. Go ahead.
We talked about how big this game was for the Eagles in terms of getting yourself prepared.
Just Nick Foles wise. And I saw exactly what I've been telling everybody. But, you know, it is what it is.
My gosh, this is like...
If they're going to win a game in the playoffs, they got to win 6-3.
Yep, it's got to be low scoring. That defense has got to attack. Now, this does leave me the question of where you put Carson Wentz in the MVP race. Because...
Maybe you give it to him.
Because Gurley didn't play today, so he played 15? Wentz played 13. I mean, ultimately, I think you still give it to Brady, but I think Wentz. I would go Brady, Wentz, Gurley, based on what we're seeing from the Eagles without Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
And then you had the 5 turnover game against Oakland. You're just going into the playoffs just too anemic.
And then this is a telling thing. AC was talking about how bad Foles was.
Yeah.
AC was.
Mm-hmm.
He admitted it after starting off saying how good he was.
Yeah.
So like he was an Eagles fan. There were some who were counting them out already, but there was still like guys like AC were still saying, okay, there's a chance because Nick Foles has experience, his defense, blah, 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 blah. He seems to be giving up on that. And to me, I think no matter who they play, they're losing their first game. I've said that since day one. I've said that since day one, right?
Yeah, you have. You have.
So, like, I'm just sticking with that because I think what it's going to come down to is you're probably going to play the Saints.
Yeah.
And are you going to beat the Saints by scoring 6 points?
Nope. You're going to have to hope that there's a blizzard.
But then the Saints can run that football.
Yeah, that's true.
Better than you can.
Yeah, that's the other. Yeah. And Zach Ertz has been kind of quiet the last few weeks without Wentz.
And the thing about the Eagles is their run game hasn't picked up the slack either.
Nope.
They've not been able to run the ball.
Nope.
And you also question, okay, what is Doug Peterson? Is he really a great coach? Or is he just a good coach?
That's going to be an interesting question. And I don't know, like apparently Peterson and I don't know this for sure, but apparently Peterson and Schwartz have never been really on the same page. I'm getting that mostly from what AC has been saying. And now Schwartz is rumored to be the Giants head coach.
Interesting.
Candidate. It's just, they're not going, because apparently I've been negative on the Eagles all season. They're just not going into the playoffs.
You have, don't deny it.
With a ton of number 1 seed momentum.
They don't look like a number 1 seed. They appear to be a wild card team.
Yeah. But you have the week off, and it depends on who you're playing. And what if someone gets hurt on the other side? You never know. You never know. And that the Eagle fan base will get excited because of the game. As AC says, week by week.
We've touched on every NFC team except for the Vikings. Anything you want to bring up in regards to the Vikings, or just same old, same old?
That defense is good. We're going to be talking a lot about the ability of Case Keenum, but isn't it interesting? The top 3 seeds of this conference, we're going to really have a lot of questions about the quarterback. Foles, Keenum, Goff, because they haven't been here before. The bottom,
and I think that opens the door for a lower seed.
Yeah. Yeah. And
as good as the teams are around that quarterback, you never know. If Drew Brees can get hot, if Cam Newton can get hot, if Matt Ryan can get hot, those 3 players are a lot better than the other 3 players.
Yes. And that's what I was trying to say with Dylan. Is like there's an opportunity. This playoff experience is going to be a big story in the NFC playoff. I really don't know who to pick, actually. I'm going to be completely honest. As we're preparing for Tuesday, I have no idea who I'm picking.
No idea. Do you have an idea in the AFC, Kev?
Yes, it's clearly going to be the Bills and the Titans reenacting the Music City Miracle.
That would be epic.
That would be totally hilarious.
If the Bills went to New England and won, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, I would howl. I would completely howl. I still think you look, though, I think that there's the clear 4 in the bottom 2. I think the Jags and the Chiefs, I think there's 3 tiers in the AFC. There's the Steelers and the Patriots, you're tier 1.
Yeah.
Chiefs and Jags are tier 2. Bills and Titans are tier 3.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And even right now, I have the Chiefs ahead of the Jags.
Yeah, I could see that.
I guess depending on the matchup, because I'm a Patriots fan, so I actually think the Chiefs are a tougher matchup than the Jaguars. I think that the Steelers would have a tougher time with the Jags.
I agree.
But I think the Patriots would have a tough time with the Chiefs.
You know what could happen, though?
Yeah.
Mitch, remember my preseason prediction.
Oh, no.
We'll beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh 31-3. That could still happen. They could be playing.
It can. But what has to happen is the Bills have to win, though.
Yes. So there's a 25% possibility.
So you need the Bills to beat the Jags, and you need the Titans to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And then you could have that 31-0 game for the Titans. And then it would be Patriots-Titans. Or no, wait.
Yeah, it would be Patriots-Titans. If the Patriots... Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, it's so interesting. And I don't think the Chiefs are going to be getting rid of Alex Smith anytime soon.
You don't think so?
Not from what I saw from Mahomes. He wasn't, like, from what I saw, he was overthrowing receivers from the brief. I think they're probably going to have to wait, give him another year. Or maybe they'll think that they could trade Alex Smith now, but...
Something just to bring up quickly is Albert Wilson had 10 catches for 147 yards. We've been talking about the underrated loss of Chris Conley.
That's a good replacement.
And Albert Wilson has been that receiver, and it would just be interesting to see if he steps up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
they're going to need Kareem Hunt to be
a beast.
First half Kareem Hunt to be a beast. And they're going to have to manage that clock a lot better than Andy Reid has before. And
they're going to need turnovers.
And they're going to need turnovers. Then they can get turnovers because Mariota has not been great this season.
I think the Chiefs are going to win that game pretty easily.
I do too. I would be surprised if that's close. But I'm cheering for the Titans because Titans Steelers, man. No.
What do you think about those Titans? The win 15-10 over the Jags.
I don't know how this team got into the playoffs either. I really don't. I just, especially offensively. I mean, I guess you're going to go with Derrick Henry going forward. I think that's the obvious move. But Mariota hasn't been great. They seem also very predictable on offense where you can just stack the box on them. Defensively, they're hanging in there. And they'll be competitive for that. But I just don't. I mean, you ask about name a Carolina receiver other than Devin Funchess. Name a Tennessee Titan wide receiver. Just name one. Can you name one?
Eric Decker, Corey Davis, Rashard Matthews.
That's not exactly an enthralling list of three receivers, though.
No, it isn't. It's one of those. It's probably the worst receiver core in the AFC playoffs.
I would agree. I would totally agree. But who knows? You
never know.
Depends on Alex Smith too, because you could get good or bad Alex Smith. We talk about a good Cam and a bad Cam. There's a good Cam and a bad. There's a good Alex and a bad Alex too. And they are going to need to run the ball.
What are your thoughts about the Jags?
They seemed to have peaked, and everyone got really excited about them after the Seahawks win. And everyone gave them the label of they're the most dangerous team. I'm still not entirely impressed with that linebacking core. I think their defense is good. I think their defense will keep it close. But if you stop Fournette, it just does seem like you can beat this Jacksonville team. And I just think at the end of the day, unfortunately, I mean, I'm higher on Blake Bortles than you guys are. I also have to rank him at least 11th of 12th right now, to at least 10th, 11th, or 12th in terms of starting quarterbacks in the playoffs.
11th?
10th, 11th.
He's 12th.
I might put him ahead of Tyrod.
No.
Okay, no. Well, he's certainly not. He's in the bottom three. We'll agree at least on that.
Okay.
And yeah, I think they're gonna play a tough game, but I don't think that people are looking at them as this dangerous team anymore.
The difference.
I feel like they had their Super Bowl in Seattle.
Bortles and Tyrod.
What's that? Is there a significant difference?
The biggest difference is people don't insult Tyrod by putting 0 safeties back in, and they just put 9 players in the box. They're like, throw a ball, damn it, Bortles. And
he can throw it once in a while. He can throw it once.
If he can hit those throws like he was against the Seahawks, then you got a team.
Yeah, but I don't think they're scary, and I don't know if this.
No, I don't think they're scary at all. I've severely lowered my expectation for the Jags. I think the Jags are the Texans of last year.
Yeah, they have a really tough defense, not a good offense. They might get through 1. They certainly will not get through 2. Well, that's really. I guess it's going to be really interesting in what the Steelers are. I mean.
They're good.
They're good.
The only thing is, how do the Jags play them without Antonio Brown if he doesn't play?
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to put a bunch of pressure on them. They're going to have to run. The Steelers will have to run the ball more. That Steeler defense still.
Yeah. Especially, even though you had some backups in there, you still had Joe Hayden in there at the end of the game.
Yeah.
You had Joe Hayden in there. So to me, that says, okay, you had a lot of starters in there still, and you're giving up 50-yard bombs to Josh Gordon and Higgins.
Yeah, and
like DeShone Kizer.
And the reason the Browns lost is not only because they're in the Browns, it was a drop pass.
Yeah. Which is disgusting.
Yeah.
How about these Browns? We haven't touched on them.
Worst professional sports organization probably ever.
This is, and I'll echo that just by saying I've said this for a few weeks now. This is the worst team I've ever seen in my life. The
eye test says that, but you actually compare them to the Detroit Lions. They were closer in more games.
The 2016 team with the 2017 team, they've been 1-31, and Kev, they did not even win that game on Sunday.
Yeah,
they won on Thursday.
They haven't won a game on Sunday in 3 seasons. And they're keeping their head coach. Congratulations, Hugh Jackson.
Okay, can we get to this guy's comments, all right?
Oh, yes, this is
what did he say?
No one else could have done the job.
Wait, who was it when I was talking? Was it you or was it Dylan or somebody?
It was in the chat.
I was just saying, like, this guy is the worst coach, yet nobody hates it. Like, nobody says, oh, it's Hugh Jackson's fault. Nobody. And then he comes out and he says, nobody could have done this job like me or something like that. What are you won 1 game in 2 years. 1 game.
Yeah. At least the Lions won 3 games before. They were 3-29 in 2 seasons. You were 1-31.
What are you talking? Like, what is this guy talking about? Can I go to the class? Can I go to the Hugh Jackson class of bullshit?
Yeah, apparently it's available in Cleveland everywhere. How
did he keep his job, Kev?
I don't even know how. You can't bring this guy back. You cannot bring an 0-16 coach back. Like, it's a PR disaster. Like,
watch his post-game conferences after it's hilarious. He's like, oh, Kizer sucks. Like, every week, he's like, oh, it's not my fault. Kizer sucks. I'm going to bench him. And then the week after, he's like, oh, no, I got to start Kizer. And then the week after, he's like, oh, nobody could have done the job. I did. It was amazing.
Yeah. I feel bad. Because I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to make this bold prediction. The Cleveland Browns will not win a game this decade.
Holy bananas. Yes, they will.
This decade.
Yes, they will, Kev.
No, they won't.
That means they have to go 0-16 for another 2 years.
Yep.
Do you know how bad that is, Kev?
Yep. It's yeah.
Kev, they're good. They have 2 top 4 picks this year.
They'll blow it.
4, not even top 5, top 4 picks.
They'll blow it. How much you want to bet that Myles Garrett is going to demand a trade?
I'm not going to bet that at all.
Why would you want to be there?
Myles Garrett's their best player other than Josh Gordon.
He's going to demand a trade. And I can't blame Josh Rosen, even though I'm not a big Josh Rosen fan. I can't blame him for not wanting to be there.
Josh Gordon?
Josh Rosen.
Oh, Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have hopes because John Dorsey. I mean, your hope is John Dorsey is a pretty solid GM, but the organization from top to bottom is a complete joke. I mean, you brought Mitch. They brought in a baseball guy to run a football team.
I know.
And it wasn't even a baseball guy that anybody wanted. It wasn't like, oh, interesting.
Carson Wentz. Deshaun Watson.
Oh, yeah. Who else? Yeah, like the amount of quarterbacks that they oh my gosh, like the amount of players. Like, oh.
Trent Richardson, great pick.
Trent Richardson, yes.
Johnny Manziel, great pick.
Great pick.
Brady Quinn.
Great pick.
Good job, Browns. Good job.
Good job. They won't win another game this decade.
What else shall we talk about?
Okay, well, I guess we can talk about the coaches that are done and who's going to replace.
Okay, we'll do that, and then we'll get to the comments, and then we'll
go. So Del Rio is officially out. Do you see it, Gruden?
Well, apparently, if they're going to offer him that contract, I don't see why not. I don't see why it wouldn't be him.
I think he'll be a huge difference. Although he hasn't been in the league and he hasn't coached in a while, he's been on the sidelines. I think he'll bring back a lot of that Oakland swagger, which is great. I feel bad for Del Rio because I actually do think he's a good coach. I just think he's an
average coach. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's good.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you average to good. He's not top 10 or anything, but yeah, I'm pretty 70% confident that it's going to be Gruden, and I think that'll be a very interesting thing in Oakland, what him and Carr can do. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done defensively on that team, running back wise. I mean, you can't go back to Lynch, I don't think. You still got a lot of work to do, and I still think, I mean, you may be bigger fans of Cooper and Crabtree than I am, but at the very least, you have to acknowledge they have to improve at receiver.
They stunk this year.
Yeah.
Their whole offense stunk.
Yeah.
No one, not one single guy. Maybe Jared Cook. That's it. The next spot would be, is Denver replacing their coach? Because he's not having the time of his life anymore, obviously.
No. I would. I know that a lot of people are saying that that's unfair to him after one season.
I think he's a terrible coach. I don't even know why he got the job.
He shouldn't have got the job. I personally, I'm just going to say it, I think John Elway needs to go too, but that will not happen. I think he's an albatross on it. I think he is the AFC version of Jerry Jones. I think he's gotten too big for his britches, and he's a handcuff on the team. I think it's that bad. And if it wasn't for the Cleveland Browns, Mitch, we would be talking about how bad the Denver Broncos have treated quarterbacks, because that is hot garbage.
Well, they had Peyton. That masked their issues.
Yes. If it wasn't for Peyton, they wouldn't. And yeah. They stumbled on a guy that got hurt, and the team was fortunate enough to get a guy named Andrew Luck.
Is Bruce Arians gone?
Apparently he's going to retire, but I have a...
Okay, because I was going to say, why would you let go of Bruce Arians? Especially after they beat the Seahawks this week.
If you're Indianapolis, do you at least talk to him?
Yeah.
Because that was the last time that team was successful, was because Bruce Arians was the coach.
Well, that's not true. Dano had a couple years where they're Like, I think, well, at least 1 year they made the playoffs. No,
There
2
was
years in a row.
Yeah, there was 1 year
Right?
though. It was Arians was mostly the coach because Picano was dealing
Okay,
with
yeah,
cancer.
Arians, and then the year after was Pagano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's brash and cocky and arrogant, and he frustrates me. But I
works.
think in the right situation, if he had Andrew Luck, and if you're getting a healthy Andrew Luck, and that AFC South is, I mean, I know that how bad the Colts are, but it's actually there for the taking.
If the Colts can get a few guys on defense, I think
Yeah.
they're fine.
Yeah. And I might see if I wouldn't ask, not only ask Bruce, if I was Indy, I might ask about Larry.
Fitzgerald. I thought he signed. He's playing next year.
Yeah.
But you'd have to trade him, though.
That guy, that is one human being that deserves a Super Bowl.
Yep, he should have had it a lot earlier.
Yeah.
2008, to be exact.
Uh-oh.
What else?
Where else?
Cincinnati.
Well, Marvin's gone.
Do you think Marvin Lewis will get another job?
Probably. I think Detroit will.
Do you think he wants another job?
I think he might want to retire.
I agree with that. And I think he could get another job. Like, you could do worse than him.
Who would take a shot at Marvin Lewis?
Geez, I don't know.
It's Detroit, Chicago. I think Chicago needs to go offensive, though.
I do too.
The Giants, but they're going with Schwartz. I don't think that that's a good hire, though. The DC, but I don't know about a head coach.
Detroit's open.
Yep. Is Caldwell officially out?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. Not certain, but I'm almost certain that it's going to be between Patricia and McDaniels. I think it will be Patricia.
Yeah. Let's see. But Lewis says he wants to coach in 2018.
Okay.
So
Arizona?
No. Maybe.
Could retire in Arizona.
Yeah, it'd be a nice little place for him. Looking at other places, Miami.
Did they let go of their coach, though?
Well, if they do.
What about Washington? Is Gruden getting let go or no?
Not what I'm seeing.
We don't know till tomorrow, probably.
We won't know till. Yeah, the only two that have been gone for sure are Pagano and Del Rio.
Interesting.
And yeah, so I think we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. By the way, it looks like Barkley is entering the draft. So
cool.
So that'll be good.
We'll have draft coverage here on the Bottom Line View.
Yes, live.
Okay, let's get to comments.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have all the comments. Probably half of them are gone by now. There's a lot of comments. Rob says, I've heard Sherman might consider playing for the 49ers next year.
Maybe.
Is that true? Where do you hear that?
Well, yeah, I would be curious where he heard that.
Jeremy says, is it a rebuild or a retool for the Seahawks? Retool.
Yeah.
Steelers Nation says Seahawks suck.
Yeah, you keep talking there. Once the Jags or the Titans beat you 31-3, we'll see how big your mouth is there. That's all I'm saying. Jeremy
Hansman says, I'm confused. The Chargers beat the Bills this year? Why didn't they make it?
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
It's because of conference record. It makes no sense. The Chargers should be in the playoffs. They're the better team. But anyways, the Bills made it because it's 1999.
Yes. By the way, it also sort of reports that the Raiders are set to move on Crabtree. Bye-bye.
Rick Badboy says Jaguars have no chance.
Well, they have a chance they're in. I mean, and I do think that probably overall they're a better team than Buffalo, but
Steelers Nation says Steelers versus Saints Super Bowl 52. That would be a good one.
that would be.
Mr. Mike says Pittsburgh and New England are the only two teams that have a chance in the AFC.
Yeah, I think the toughest test for both of you guys, unfortunately, will be when one of you get to the Super Bowl. When you face each other and the Super Bowl will be the two tests.
Okay.
Honestly, like really, realistic.
Yeah, I would agree. Ultra says power rankings: 1, Patriots; 2, Vikings; 3, Steelers; 4, Rams; 5, Saints; 6, Chiefs; 7, Falcons; 8, Jaguars; 9, Panthers; 10, Eagles. Why wouldn't you just include 12 teams? Because there's 12 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. If I had to rank the playoff teams, I would go 12 Bills, 11 Titans,
Agree.
10 Eagles, 9 Jaguars, 8 Falcons. That's a toss-up. Falcons and Panthers are a toss-up at 8 and 7. 6, I would go Chiefs for sure. They're also a toss-up with the other two teams. Saints, then I would go Rams, Vikings, Steelers, Patriots.
I would probably go Patriots, Vikings, Steelers, Rams, Saints, Panthers, Eagles.
Wow, Eagles are high.
Oh, sorry. What number are they at? 5, 6, 7? Yeah. Actually, yeah. Jags, Falcons, Bills and Titans would be the bottom two. I mean, I'd probably rank the Eagles higher just because they do have the bye, and I do think that will play into this in some way, shape, or form. And having the home field and a bye, I think, is an advantage. But you're right. I don't think that
4 years, Kevel, the home team in the championship game has won every year.
Yep, that's true.
So there you go. More comments. Patriots versus Rams Super Bowl, says Jeremy. That might be my pick. We'll see.
Let's see. By the way, do you know Kansas City's won 4 in a row?
I wouldn't doubt it. They beat the Chargers. Who else they beat? I don't even know. I know that they won, but I just don't remember who. Broncos. Who else they beat?
Let's look. They beat the Broncos today. Schedule. They beat Miami 29-13. They beat the Chargers 30-13.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the Chiefs are. I told you the Chiefs. I have them ahead of the Jags right now.
And they beat. No, they lost the Jets that week. 14. Let's look at 14. Yeah. 2017. They beat Oakland 26-15. Actually, they haven't lost by more than the last 3 games. To give them credit, the 3 games before today, they won by more than 10, and today their victory over terrible Vance Joseph, they only won by 3. But
yeah, well, that game really didn't count, to be honest.
No.
Now that the field is set, Mr. Mike says, I got the Rams and the Steelers. We'll see our picks. Don't give anything away.
I'm not giving anything away.
Do you agree? Whoever plays the Eagles in the divisional round will win. I agree.
Who's the best matchup for the Eagles? So
In terms of who they could beat?
Saints, Panthers, Falcons.
Oh, shit. I'm going to say the Falcons.
I would agree.
Because they're a dome team on the road with a sputtery offense. Yeah, I would go with the Falcons. How about you would go with the Falcons?
Yes. Or the Panthers. I think that they beat the Panthers before, so I think that there's an advantage there. I would say I would go Saints, Panthers, Falcons would be the toughest matchup would be the Saints. Second would be the Panthers. Third would be the Falcons.
Trying to look through these comments. Jim Harbaugh to Detroit, hell no, says Major Slugger.
Okay. By the way, I do wonder if the Rams are a bit overrated. I think people are looking at that 42-7 game and thinking that the Rams are all awesome and not considered that the team that they played wasn't that good.
Rick Bad Boy agrees with me. He says, I think Carolina is overrated talent-wise on offense.
Okay. Yeah.
Jeremy says, Newton or Russell Wilson?
I would prefer Russell, but it's hard.
It's close.
It's close.
I would go Wilson probably. I don't know, actually. Depends on the season, to be honest. Sometimes Newton's better, sometimes Wilson's better. I think Wilson is better.
There was a lot of bad Russell this year, though. There really was. And that Atlanta game, for example, it wasn't great.
I would say Wilson was probably a little bit better this year.
Yeah.
But I think they're both probably in the top 7 at least.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? The AFC sucks. What else? Okay, some score predictions. Chiefs 30, Titans 20. Ultra says Coleman and Freeman or Gurley? I would take Coleman and Freeman.
But would you take Sarkisian or McVay?
McVay by 100 years.
I would take Gurley based on that very thing.
Well, what? Just the player. Just the players.
I don't know. I've never been completely enamored with Freeman, but I
like Freeman.
I think Gurley does a lot.
I think Freeman does a lot.
I mean,
Jeremy says Pats 31, Chiefs 24. That could be the score. The AFC as a whole sucks, but they have the 2 best teams in the league, says Tyler Jones.
I think many teams are underestimating the Vikings.
Is it the Case Keenum thing?
It's that combination of receiver, Diggs and Thielen and Rudolph, and that defense. That's the best. I would argue the best secondary in the playoffs. It might be the best defense in the playoffs.
Steelers Nation says Saints versus Vikings NFC Championship. Steelers versus Patriots AFC Championship.
Not saying anything.
Tyler Jones says Tom Brady or Carson Wentz as MVP.
Brady. He's played
Mr. Mike says the NFC has high-scoring offenses. Philly won't be able to hang.
I'm going to be interested to see what Mr. AC says about.
Tyler Jones says Mitch is happy that Foles is failing. LOL. Jeremy says Patriots 28, Steelers 27. Damn. It's going to put me through a loop. Bodo says Brady will get the MVP by default.
Maybe. I do think ultimately, like, for the consistency of the season, you have to give it to Brady. I mean, there were spurts of sorry. I was looking something up here. There are spurts of things that are of Wentz and Gurley and other people, but Brady's been the most consistent. So I would give it to Brady. And he's only won it 3 times, so it's not the Tom Brady award.
Yeah. Jeremy says, I bet that either the Titans, Bills, Chiefs, Jaguars, Steelers, or Patriots will get to the Super Bowl. Tyler Jones says, Decker is good, but for some reason, Tennessee uses him as a slot guy. Maybe because he's lost his speed. BLV NHL says, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, John.
Bodo says, I project Juju Smith, Super Bowl MVP.
That would be the funnest name to win the Super Bowl MVP, but
yes, that probably would. Mr. Mike says, the Jaguars' defense is legit. I think they just let off of the gas when they knew they were in the playoffs. Interesting. James Harrison, by the way, today. 2 sacks, a strip fumble, 5 tackles. What do you think about that, Kevin?
Good job, James. Stepped up, proved he could play. Well done.
Anything else here?
I'm not entirely sold on this. Maybe I'm in the minority, but I'm not entirely sold on this Jags defense. I'm not.
I am. I just think they have a terrible offense.
Which offense is worse? The Ravens?
But, again.
The Ravens of 2000 or the Jags?
Ravens of 2000.
Wow.
Which is better?
Yeah.
Ravens of 2000.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would. Okay.
Ravens of 2000 are the top 3 defense of all time, though, in my opinion.
That's true. I don't know if the Jags are an all-timer yet.
We'll see if they make some sort of. But the thing about the Jags is that they're going to be here for not just this year, but next year and the year after that. They have all these guys signed.
Yeah, they're going to be around for that. Defense will be around for a while. The AFC South is actually quite intriguing to me.
It is.
I think it might be the best division in the AFC next year, depending on what the Colts do. Because you look at that Texas team is going to rebound because they'll get Watt back. Although here, I guess that's the interesting thing about the AFC South. You got J.J. Watt that's been injured for 2 straight seasons. You've got Andrew Luck that's been injured for 2 straight seasons.
Okay, I'm just going to take a couple more and then I got to go. Friends are starting to get here, so.
Okay.
Kevin Durkant says Broncos could have had Tebow as a top-notch QB if they kept working with him.
No. No.
Ultra says Larry goes to the Pats.
I want Larry on the Seahawks, to be honest. I would love Larry.
Not happening.
Not happening, but I would love it.
2015 Broncos D or Jags D this year?
2015 Broncos because they won the Super Bowl.
Okay. Travis says Antonio Brown will be the difference maker in the rematch in Foxborough. It won't be Eli frickin' Rogers running across at the end. It will be AB. All right, that's how we're going to end it.
Okay.
Because we're going to say that our predictions will be out. Dilly will have his out tomorrow. I'll have mine out rather tomorrow night or Tuesday. And Kevol, I think, is doing his predictions as well.
I might be. Yes, I think I might do that.
And then on Tuesday, we're going to be doing it with SportSphere YouTube channel. Go check them out, their NFL sports channel as well. We're going to have them on here. We're all going to be talking about the playoffs, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And that's our first collab as team with team. Dylan was on there once, but team v team is going to be interesting. I'm going to start some arguments. You know that's going to happen.
Yeah. I'm going to bash the Cowboys a lot.
All right. From Kevel.
Jerry Jones will be on.
From Kevel and Mitch.
Cowboys.
It's the Bottom Line View. If you guys enjoyed, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next couple of days. Make sure you check out those playoff predictions. They're coming hot.
And BLB NHL because we're going to be doing something before the Winter Classic tomorrow. And
1,000 subs for them. Go check them out if you have not. You probably have, but check them out anyways. Peace out.
Yeah. Peace. Happy New Year.